Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Pet Connection podcast, where every third Wednesday we celebrate our furry, feathery, and scaly friends. So welcome, everyone. We have a wonderful guest joining us today. We love children's books. I don't care what age we are. We like children's books, and we've got an amazing author joining us and also from the medical world. So before we bring her on, of course, we've got Angela Laws from Trusted House Sitters here as co-host. And so, Angela, welcome back. How are you? Where are you?
Hi, Lisa. I am back. I'm back from the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. I was out in Boston. We had some events there and we met our members and we did a Halloween parade with Meet Boston and the Boston Alliance over there. And it was just great, getting to know our community in person. We know them, of course, but we don't meet them in person too much. And that's what we were doing. And it was really, really good. So I'm now back in sunny San Diego. And it's actually been quite chilly. I mean, but then we're in fall. So I guess that goes with the territory. But I'm here and I'm back with my darling Casey, the little boy that I look after, furry boy, 4 legs. And he went to the groomers yesterday. And I didn't realize how reluctant he was to actually go to the groomer until I went to get back. He looks adorable. And yes, so that's where I am. And it's lovely to be back again.
Awesome. Well, Nancy and I are in Wimberley, Texas today. When this airs, we'll be in Avoyelles Parish, Louisiana. So everybody, this is great. And this week is actually National not children's book, but Young Readers Week to encourage literacy. So I love that this is coinciding, this show is coinciding with that week because we're going to talk about dogs. We're going to talk about how dogs actually play the role of therapy. And I know that because just, here where we are in Texas, it's a sunny day. We're going to get to 90 degrees. So I may go get some vitamin D out there because it always makes me feel good. But dogs do make me feel better. Just petting them makes me happy. And I think our guest today is going to be able to second that. Our guest is Dr. Andi Honda, and she is a medical speaker, educator, and she is the author of Koa's Ruff Life series, and that's RUFF, right? Koa's Ruff Life series, and the 3rd book is out now. So welcome to the show, Andi. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I am great. We're a little bit chilly in New York City today. It's about 40 degrees. So I'm you're in the 90s, but I love fall. I'm appreciating the weather right now.
Well, you do get those 4 seasons in New York City, and Christmas is one of those magical times, right? I know when we think about Christmas in the States, we always think of New York City and Chicago as being the 2, Christmas cities. Grapevine, Texas is known for Christmas. Maybe it's the wine thing. I don't know. But Angela, England, and when I was a little girl, going to England was exciting because I got all excited about Christmas in England. We didn't get the white Christmas I thought we were going to get. We got like sludgy stuff. So I was a little disappointed, except for England has some of the best candy for Christmas ever. Sweets, excuse me. So it was a joy. Yeah. New York City and Christmas and, spending time with your wonderful dog, Koa. Tell us a little bit about Koa.
Yeah. So at first, I am very biased that I think New York City has the best Christmas.
Okay.
But so Koa is actually a therapy dog. We were certified approximately maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And he's a Rhodesian Ridgeback. And so he's just a natural, kind, gentle giant. He's 96 pounds and he loves kids. And so we actually volunteer at a children's hospital and a school for kids with special needs.
Very nice. Going in, for the dog, well, I'm very familiar with Ridgebacks. I was raised in South Africa and everybody has a Ridgeback. That is like the dog, a Rhodie, and that's what we call them, Rhodies. And they are very protective, very loyal, just the sweetest, loving, and definitely part of the family. We're a very dog-centric country, South Africa. But tell us a little bit about the importance of therapy with dogs for the human side, for kids like you're talking about, because even when you hug a dog, if you feel better, is it medically proven that they're good for our bodies? Do they boost our health or our happiness? Is it that part? What is it that makes it so good? No.
I actually read something recently that they said that if a female sleeps with their dog, they have a better night's sleep than if they sleep with their significant other. And I believe that
I
100%.
agree.
So, there's always something about it. I don't, I treat humans and not necessarily animals. And so I don't know if there's actual research of how that works, but I can just tell you as a personal experience that I think the dogs have this remarkable ability to offer this comfort and understanding without words. Koa himself is just calm. He's gentle. He has this he's just natural at comforting others. He senses emotion, even if it's just mine, but he's kind of sort of senses the emotion. He offers reassurance without words. He kind of reminds me, anytime I'm volunteering, he reminds me that healing can occur in the simplest ways, with a wag of a tail, a smile. It's just being present. And so I think it's all of those little things that really make therapy dogs comfort humans.
Think, I think it's because they don't talk back too. They're like a safe space. And I think that's why people like AI, because AI is nice back to you in a chat. It's not rude, but it's the same, like, but dogs have a beating heart and they're fluffy and they're loving, so it's a little different, but I think they're calming and that's good for our heart. Dogs, walking dogs is good for us too. And I think they also remind us to lighten up when things are stressful, lighten up. Go play, go outside and play. You know what I mean?
Right. Just going outside, and it just helps, right? If it's just the walking for that exercise to clear your mind, or it is to get that vitamin D from that sun, that all helps our mood. And if you have a dog, you have to go outside. I read a study recently that said if you have a dog, you walk 7 miles more every month and live 5 or 7 years longer. And I was like, of course, because you have to go. Oh, at least in New York City, you have to walk your dog. And we don't have a big yard. So I believe all those research.
Wow. And Angela, that's, why pet sitters are so healthy. I'm just kidding.
Well,
We are.
absolutely. And Andy, as you were talking, I went to that place that you were describing, a place about, walking. Because as sitters, and with Trusted House Sitters, we care for every animal. If it's got a heart and it's in your home, there's a good chance that we will look after it for you. And so, cats are amazing and they're easier. However, when I care for dogs and when I'm sitting dogs and I absolutely adore them, I have to get away from my device. They actually they give me a work-life balance that I don't get otherwise. And I can't go in front of my device first thing in the morning. I have to go for a walk. And that's where I am right now. I'm with Casey. And you know what? I get out there and I get into the sunshine, because when I'm indoors, there's no sunshine coming into where I am. It's natural light, but I haven't got it in abundance. But when I go out with Casey, it's not just the light, it's the warmth of me. And it's the fact that I'm getting away from all of that and I'm with him. And you're absolutely, absolutely right. And so if you're not able to have your own dog and you're a pet lover, there's nothing better than actually coming in, and Lisa knows this as much as anybody does, coming into a home, caring for that animal, bonding with that animal. We cry when we leave, always, but they make our lives, they enrich our lives, and they make everything so much better. And we have a connection with Pat in this UK, which is Pets as Therapy. And we had a competition on the website for the happiest pet, and there was a cockapoo and his name is Fred. And he actually is a therapy dog with a big London hospital, and he's in the ICU unit. It's children and adults, and his mum takes him there 3 or 4 times a week. It's his job, but he absolutely loves his job. And I think the one thing as well, and you know this because you are, the mum of a therapy dog, is so many people can actually do this, and they can do it without knowing that they can do it. And I know Pat, in the UK especially, they need many volunteers. But I think people think it's a really big chore to get into. And where I am right now, Terry, the dog mum, they used to live in New York. She had Alfie, who was a Labradoodle, a golden doodle. He was a therapy dog too, and she worked at one of the hospitals in Manhattan. with the children. Yeah, I mean, it can't be stressed enough just what they do for us.
Mm.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, and you were talking about like how people don't know or like people think it's hard to get into it. It actually really isn't. As long as your dog has that temperament to become a therapy dog, it's a quick few month training and a certification and recertification every year. And it truly is really rewarding. And I think people should reach out to see if their dog can, because some people can't have dogs, right? And so it just helps everyone.
And the dogs love it too. I mean, it's
Oh,
their job. And Fred, who, as I say, is with this big London hospital in the ICU, he has his own hashtag. It's Be More Fred, and they want more Freds.
I love that.
That is cute. That's, the other thing too with this, it's helping the kids. It's helping, I think there's, we've got children who are sometimes extremely shy, and it
Yeah.
gets them to come out of their shell a little bit, and talk a little bit more. And so I think dogs really do that really well, because they kind of get you to come out of your shell. And, when we were not pet sitting, Nancy, my mom, and I, we travel full time and we document parks and public land. So I'm excited about this New York part of it too, because Central Park and apparently I've learned so much about Central Park doing podcasts, and we have not been there yet because I don't know. Someone's going to have to drive us there because I don't know. I'm not driving in New York City. I know to just don't do it.
Get to don't drive. Just take
Exactly.
the subway. But you should definitely come. My favorite part of my day is actually Central Park in the mornings. Every morning, Koa and I go on a run in Central Park. We have maybe about 4 different routes. But I mean, it is just an oasis in a concrete jungle where there's so much like right now, all the colors are just so beautiful. I personally love Bethesda Fountain. Koa loves Bowbridge. I don't know why. He just sits anytime we pass by, he has to sit there. I mean, it's just so beautiful. If you go early enough, you can hear the birds chirp. You can hear the wind blow, leaves ruffle. I mean, it is just so peaceful in the morning. But don't go like at 2 p.m. because that's busy.
See, if we'd met you, in New York City in the park, Nancy and I would have made a beeline to you because you have a dog. We're terrible. Like we realized not having animals for the few years that we were traveling without pet sitting. It's like not drinking water. We would just be like, something is missing. And we'd figured it out because, you'd go on a hike or somewhere in a park and you'd meet someone and they're walking their dog and we're like, can we go play with your dog? Like, even when we're traveling across the country, we do a ton of driving too. We go to a rest area. We always park where the pet zone is so we can go watch dogs, play with dogs. And some people are really kind and let you pet their dog. And so you sound weird going around the country going, can I pet your dog? But we do. Because you miss it. And that's why I say there is something that happens in your happy factor. Your little happy meter goes up as soon as you pet a dog. And I know that just from that feeling. And then when Angela came on our podcast years ago, over 5 years now. Yeah, man, gosh, Angela, we've known each other forever now. And, I know we've never met, but I feel like I've known you for my whole life, doing all these podcasts together and chatting too. But, as soon as we started pet sitting, she came on a show. And so Nancy and I were like, get all the questions together so we can learn more, and then of course started pet sitting. And I don't know, there's a happiness that comes with being there for the animals and them knowing, like I'm working and dog here that I'm taking care of, sweet Daisy. She's like, I'm putting my head on your lap while you're working. You need to come and play, or I'm just going to keep my head on your lap. And you're just this huge head, and it's heavy because she's a big girl. And I don't know, there really is this calmness, when you're stuck in a hotel room trying to do all this tech stuff with all your websites and your podcasts and all this, you start to get a little irate. But if you're pet sitting and you're hanging, I see even my voice went a little irate there. I'm like, already that thought versus just this calm with animals. And it doesn't matter if it's not calm. If there's cats flying in the air and stuff like that, that's fun. so I don't know. There is this thing that I think we need, that connection, and going for a walk and other people being able to pet dogs. And it doesn't, you can't always do that depending on the dog or the
Yeah.
person. But I think you're giving people a service by going walkies with Koa, because I can bet a lot of people want to pet her.
Definitely. I mean, if you come to the city, we walk in the city and just our neighborhood, and everyone's asking to pet Koa. And of course, I always say yes. We were talking. You're mentioning you just feel this calmness. It's because for some reason when you pet a dog, you're releasing oxytocin. Whether it's your dog or not, you're kind of sort of building this a little bit of a bond, a little bit of friendship with the dog, and that's the oxytocin that's being released. It's called the love hormone. It just makes you feel a little bit better. So I think that has something a little bit to do it, and maybe some pleasure. So that would be dopamine. It's just like the happier hormones that are working in your favor. So if you ever came to New York City, I think everyone will allow you to pet their dogs, especially during Central Park off-leash hours. Before 9 o'clock, all dogs are friendly, or most. I should say most.
Well, I love this. This is so fun to hear. It's like, all right, these are your good drugs in life. Okay, pet dogs. I love this. And so I wanted to go to the book, which is beautiful, so fun, colorful, and we're huge on books for kids because it gets families together to read the books, and the illustrations are fantastic as well. But what led you to say, okay, I'm going to write a book? Because I think that I love New York, which is the tourism for New York State. And then New York City, the tourism people there should love this book, because you've given like an actual virtual tour of Christmas in New York City, and all this wonderful information for everyone to learn. And I know that in 2026, New York State and New York City is doing a huge, huge push on celebrating America being 250 years old. And so I think this is so well timed, and I just think that you should be in every souvenir shop with your book. Don't you think?
I definitely do. New York City at Christmas is my favorite time of year. There's something magic about it. My series in general was inspired by our daily adventures together with Koa, just doing our daily our runs through Central Park, to picnicking at Bryant Park. I wanted to capture that small moments in New York City that make living in New York City very, very special. One of my passions is really to educate through everyday adventures. I wanted to bring learning to life by creating these stories where I join storytelling and fun facts. Book 3 is the Christmas one in New York City, and this is based on our Christmas morning tradition. Every year, we start at Fifth Avenue and we walk down to witness the window displays. Then we hit Rockefeller Christmas Tree, and then we end up at the Bryant Park Winter Village. And that's kind of sort of what inspired this story of just celebrating all that traditions that make New York City so great during the holidays.
I love New York. I mean, I would go there in a heartbeat every week if I could. And what you're saying about Christmas, Andy, is actually really, really very special, because I was there pre-Christmas, I think 3 years ago. And went and saw the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center. And I was sitting at the time looking after the most adorable Cocker Spaniel. And I got one of the, what do they call them? The bikes with the seat on the back. My brain's gone. Anyway, I was in one of those, and it was snowing, and he was riding me back to my sit, which wasn't far away. And he was riding me back to Manhattan. And then I'm singing New York, New York in the back of this. But it is absolutely magical. And we were there on a sit in 2000 and whenever, and right opposite Central Park in an apartment. And we were there for 6 weeks, and it was in the winter, and we had the most dreadful storm. I mean, and it was freezing cold, but hey, I'm Canadian, so I'm used to that. And we would walk in Central Park every morning with Alfie. And the one thing I'm glad you said about the off-leash time and the timings, because actually I didn't know that, and I got caught. Fine is actually quite heavy, and so I never forgot it ever since. But no, it was magical. And the snow, I've got pictures of me with Alfie, and the snow is virtually up to the top of my boots. But what I love about New York is it's so walkable, and everything you're saying is like taking me back there. But yes, Rockefeller Center And actually, when I was there, they closed the ice rink for a little while and nobody knew why. And it actually transpired that there was somebody who wanted to propose to his
Oh,
girlfriend.
huh.
And he proposed in the middle of the ice rink with everybody around. And she said yes, of course. I'm thinking, what if she said no? But no, she
That's
said,
what I'm gonna wonder. I think that also makes Instagram feeds, right? Whether she says yes or no.
absolutely. But no, it's fabulous there.
What led you to write a book? Well, 3 books now, right, in the series, but actually write, because at the same time, children's books, and a lot of people go, oh, I want to write, and the children's book will be easy. I don't think children's books are easy at all to write. I think you have to get into a different, you have to understand their age. You have to, have that kind of whimsy to it and keep it fun. And then you've got education in there with all the history of New York and things like, the Macy's, parade, Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. And, you've got it's a wonderful book to just have on New York, and it's fun. So what led you to start the series? And did you know you were going to do a whole series?
Yeah. So, a few years ago, I was really reassessing what I wanted out of life. What was I passionate about? What gave me a sense of purpose? And, I really wanted to educate through everyday adventures. And I wanted to hit kids at a younger age to spark that curiosity in kids and show that learning can be fun. And so that's kind of sort of what led me to become an author and write children's books. I want, one of my favorite books growing up was The Magic School Bus. Have you read that?
No.
So it's basically a teacher in a classroom, and then she goes into these adventures through this magic school bus to take them on like explorations on anything they wanted to do to learn about something. And that's kind of sort of what inspired me to do it this way, where I wanted to put information inside in a fun way. So I put them as fun facts into the story. So the child can read the story on its own because the story itself is pretty easy to follow. But it also encourages that you read it with your mom or your dad or some family member. So the fun facts are just a little bit more advanced for someone who's about, in a picture book age range. So that's kind of sort of how I started wanting to write. When I sat down and I was trying to write, the book I wanted to write never came out, but this one did. It was so easy to write. It was from our real life experiences that we would walk. Book 1 is based on Central Park Zoo, and that's from our morning runs. We pass by the Central Park Zoo every day. We stop and see the sea lions. And so that's how, I just want to bring those kind of small things. And then my hope is that they find the fun facts fun, and they then go, oh, Mom, let's go to the zoo and remember the book had, and they just say like the sea lions, they can stay underwater for 20 minutes, or this book of this one, which by the way, I loved researching this book because I knew about all the traditions, but I didn't know the history behind it. And so I had a lot of fun researching this one.
Cool.
One of my favorite ones is about the Rockefeller Christmas tree. It's normally a Norway spruce, and it's chosen because of its strength and symmetry. It normally stands around 80 feet tall and weighs up to 14 tons.
Oh.
That's equivalent, because to me, like, it just looks big. So that's equivalent to 5 giraffes standing on top of each other and the weight of 2 elephants. If you could picture that.
Wow.
Right? And then if you picture that, and then you wrap it around 5 miles of LED lights. That's what the Christmas tree is. And then at the very top, there's that star. It has 70 spikes, 3 million crystals, and weighs 900 pounds, which is equivalent to either 10 koas or a grizzly bear. And so, like, if you can picture that, that's what the Rockefeller Christmas tree is.
Wow. I mean, as far as educating children, you've just educated me, and it's gone, my goodness, wow.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me because we cover California sequoia country. So Sequoia National Park is home to the sequoia trees. They're the world's largest living thing. They are that big.
Oh.
They're massive. And I think they had something about how many football fields and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa. And those kinds of things really make it visual. What really got it visual for me is in Sequoia National Forest. We were there in 2012, one of the first times we were going to the forest with the forest rangers. And a sequoia tree had fallen and almost hit these tourists, right? And then like within, I think a day or so, just another one fell. And there were 2 trees just down. And it's so hard to see how big and tall these are. Like the redwoods are the tallest, the coastal redwoods, but these are the big, I mean, it can take up to 30 people to stand around and hug these trees, all holding hands. And anyway, these were actually kind of young, these trees. I was allowed to go up and walk on the tree. And when you get up, I mean, it's massive. And you start to really, that's like a whole other deal about, how big a tree can be when you actually get to walk on it. And you can walk for quite a while. But the spruce tree, I'm like, oh my gosh, the sequoia's got a little rival here. It's a tree off, But that is pretty cool for kids to understand and see. And it's got to be fun. Like the Macy's Day Parade's got to be pretty epic living there and seeing that come to life.
I love it. It really kicks off the season. And I actually go the day before for the inflation of the balloons. And that's kind of sort of been a tradition of mine recently, although it's gotten very popular. And the line and really long, unfortunately, but I still go.
That's cool. Well, when you go again, watch out for the Louisiana floats because our friends got involved with that, and they're fun. They have musicians on there, so that's always extra. Yeah, it's Louisiana. They like to party. They do. So you get Mardi Gras beads. Yeah, because you always get Mardi Gras beads. They'll throw them at you and stuff like that from there. But that's super cool. So this is out in time for the holiday season. But then I also saw on your site, and everyone, I want to give that out to you. And it's linked in the episode notes as always. You can go to koasrufflife.com or you can go to andyhondamd.com. But you also do some sewing, I believe. You do all kinds of, I mean, you went all in on Koa related goodies. You've got a bakery, as well as now these wonderful bow ties. Like these are super fashionable. I mean, look how handsome he is. He's dapper. He's a dapper dog. He is. So yeah, tell us about those.
Yeah. So it all started when I was looking for bow ties for Koa. I wanted to capture his personality, but still look durable for playtime. So growing up in Hawaii, I wanted something that celebrated my roots, but I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I took to my sewing machine and just created my own. I wanted the designs I wanted. I wanted something that was more sturdy, and I came up with a design that I love. And now that I can do any pattern that I want. And that's how the fashion side started. That same desire led me into the kitchen. There's such a lack of regulation in dog food in general. And I wanted Koa to have healthier choices that, didn't have so many unrecognizable ingredients. I wanted it to be 3 or 4 ingredients. I wanted, no preservatives. I wouldn't eat that. And I don't want him to eat it. So I went into the kitchen and came up with recipes that I took from human recipes and just took out all the stuff that I didn't want, make it very, very, very simple. And that's how the Barkery and fashion boutique all got started. It was inspired by Koa, and I wanted to promote really a healthy, active life, all while doing it in style.
That's cool. I think I love the little bandanas and the bows and then the treats. I shouldn't even say that word right now, but some people just don't give their pets treats because they know they're not good for them. And then some, like, it's like, if you don't give the treat at a specific time, you are not a good pet sitter. You're terrible. You're a bad pet parent too. So it's, I think it's it's not always just the flavor maybe for them. I think it's kind of a ritual thing and makes them feel extra special when they get a treat. So I love that you're doing that because it's true. The whole thing with dog food it's just like, here's the ending of whatever humans, and look how bad our food is. Our food, the preservatives in food is ridiculous. And then they just dump it on dogs and then they sell it by trying to make it look human. It's like, it's so I love that you're doing that. So people can get these all online?
Yes.
Perfect. Angela, the treats are important for dogs.
Oh, absolutely. And Andy, thank you. I mean, I've been looking at your website and just wonderful, wonderful images. And I love the bow ties and everything else. And And that book is going to go home with me for my granddaughter. She's never been to New York, so
Huh.
she's going to go via the book.
May I suggest buying it from my website so Koa can sign it himself?
I will do that. I will do that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's cool.
I know that's really, really cool. And so treats, I can't say enough about treats, but healthy ones. You know, the dogs that we care for, or the cats, or those animals that we care for, they know about their treats. I know there's one dog that has been in my life for some time, and I absolutely adore him. And he actually knows his treats by the time of the day. I mean, you know, he has to have his song at 7 o'clock at night. And if you actually forget, then he doesn't. And so it is, but again, use them wisely, because so many people use them in the wrong way, and they give too much, and there's weight problems, etc., etc.
Exactly.
But yeah, guided by professionals who actually know about this, and also use them wisely, and don't forget natural treats too.
Yeah, I love that. Well, very cool. So she, you know, Andy has a pet business, basically. You've gone full on, full in there with, you know, everything. I love it. I love it. So everyone, again, the link is in the episode notes. What's next for you book wise? Is there another book in the works?
Definitely. There's so many things that we can do in New York City. You know, this series is really a love letter to New York City, celebrating its history, its spirit, and its heart. And so, you know, where I really want to go, and I haven't written it yet, I want to go across the Brooklyn Bridge to Brooklyn. I read recently that in 1884 there was 20 to prove that the bridge was safe. They had 22 elephants walk across Brooklyn Bridge. Now I have a lot of questions, and I didn't look this up, and so I really want to put it in my next book so I can have the time to look up this information. But I wanna know, in 1884 how you got 22 elephants to New York City. How you determined 22 elephants was going to be the number, because 22 is not like a common number. Like, why not 20? To say, hey, this is how we're going to prove it's safe. And then after all that, get 22 elephants to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. Like, I have a lot of questions on that, and so the next book will definitely have the Brooklyn Bridge in the story.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical.
I would have many questions about that as well. You know what? You're inspiring me, Andy, because your books are children's books, and the way you've described it, I am one of those people, and I'm sure there's other adults out there like me. I'm one of those people who measurements and weights mean absolutely nothing. You can tell me that a room is 16 by 16, and I will look at you with a question mark over the top of my head and go, well, if I can get a sofa in it, how big is that? And so by actually describing it in that way and giving something that I can identify with, and that's what my husband has to do every time he gives me a measurement, he will say, that means nothing to you, does it? And I'll go, no. But the way you're describing it, and the way it's described to children, so actually I think there is a legion of adults out there who need to read your books and need to understand things.
Yes.
That's in that way.
You know, it definitely is translating those facts into something that people can understand.
Well, I want to know what the cleanup crew was like for the elephants. That's what I want to know.
Think about that.
I mean, I can just imagine the weight of that. Just say
that.
Yeah, you know, that's a thing. Yeah, we need that. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fun having you on the show and talking about all things dogs, you know, and Koa definitely does not have a rough life, does he? Koa's happy, and everyone, again, the links are in the episode notes. And when you're traveling this holiday season, don't leave your pets at home alone. You don't want a home alone story with your dogs. You never know what they can do when you're not there. But really, take a look at TrustedHousesitters.com, because really over the holiday season, you also want someone in your home. I know Nancy and I do a lot of sits just because no one wants their home empty, even if they don't have pets, because things can happen, and they do happen. Angela knows too. Even if it's a weekend, things can happen. A water leak can happen. Stoves can turn themselves on. We've had that. All kinds of things can happen. So it's great to have a pet sitter there. But like, Daisy, who we're taking care of now, the lady before, I was putting her at someone's home and through a different outfit, and of course paying a ton to have someone take care of her, but the person wasn't coming to the house and staying in the house. And so Daisy wasn't happy with that. That means her routine is gone. And her routine is in the morning, she will wake you up, and she has her morning sunspot. Like, those are these little things that this is what the pets live for. Like, if you take Koa's morning walkie away, Koa's not going to be, that is a rough life for Koa. That's yeah. And so Daisy wants her spot of sunshine. She wants her food at a certain time in a certain way. And this is where my bowl is. I don't want to go somewhere new and have to deal with somebody else's routine. Routines are more than just feeding times, truly. So definitely check that out for the holiday season. And had to do a big plug for Trusted House Sitters because we love it. Our life is awesome. We've done, Angela, we're over 160 sits now. Can you believe it?
I know you're catching me up fast, and I want to be current in New York. I want to come to New York and look after Koa. But you're catching me up, Lisa. I mean, I've done over 200, but you're getting up there towards me. And it is the most amazing lifestyle for sitters and for pet parents. It's the peace of mind knowing that your pets are at home and they're happy and they're well and everything else. And with the holidays coming up, with Thanksgiving, with Christmas, look at Trusted House Sitters, but don't delay because it's an incredibly busy time. Everybody's traveling, and we know the story about travel and high costs and et cetera. But what you can save on is you can save on those boarding fees. But actually, there's no money that replaces mine.
Substitute for that. I mean, I get a sitter for, even if I'm gone for 6 hours. And, dogs are a creature of habit. And so, taking them out of their home is changing that habit. And so, anytime I leave over 6 hours, and, Koa can handle being home for 6 hours, but I don't want to be home for 6 hours by myself. So why should he?
Exactly.
So true. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Everyone, have a wonderful rest of the month and a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy that Macy's parade. That's a big deal for our country to watch that. And we will be back next month in December. And I know we're going to be talking about some safety aspects of pets over the holiday season. Things like don't leave the chocolate out. Things like that. Not good for dogs. And, go get treats that, what Andy makes, I think would be a great addition. But thank you all, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, Lisa. I have to go buy a book.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Pet Connection podcast. New episodes air every third Wednesday. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com and learn more about the world of pet sitting at TrustedHousesitters.com.